Good morning, everybody. It's Graham Coath, along with Diane and Jenna. We're going to be hosting a conversation this morning on well-being and the workplace. Thanks for joining me, both of you. Let's go through introductions first. Diane, do introduce yourself to anyone who doesn't know you yet.
Hi, I'm Diane. I'm the business owner of DCT Recruitment, which stands for Delivering Careers Together, and we specialise in construction, industrial, hospitality and commercial sectors. So if any of your staff need a boost, then please let DCT introduce.
I love it. The new strapline coming out there. And Jenna, nice to meet you. Do introduce yourself and a little bit about where you're from.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jenna. Come from MySanté. We are a health and wellbeing and lifestyle benefits platform for employees. So if you've got a workforce ranging from 5 employees plus, we can get you on a benefits platform and support the workforce.
Now, let's start with when people say health and well-being, what areas of health and well-being does that cover?
It's actually quite a lot, really. So inclusive in terms of the health and wellbeing side, you've got access to private GPs virtually, 24/7 access. And then there's an EAP system. So for the acronym, it's an employee assistance program. So that covers things like counselling services for debt, stress, legal advice, etc. And from a well-being, it's financial well-being as well. So there's a built-in part of this solution which provides a range of discounts and savings at all retailers in the UK, whether that's for a gym, a supermarket shop. So it's looking at obviously a holistic side, but your physical, mental well-being, but then also your financial well-being as well.
Okay, Diane, in terms of the well-being of staff or well-being of teams, there are a few holes at the moment, are there not? Because there are people out there that have been working for a company for a while and then they get put into a wellbeing scheme, or some companies do induct people straight away. But that typically tends to be depending upon what kind of contract somebody is being signed into that business on. Because if you're on a long-term contract with an organisation, that's when you start getting brought into their auspice. But there are a number of people that are on short-term contracts as well. And that means that those people start falling through the gaps.
Yeah, definitely. So when I met Jenna and she said about what the app was, what we're doing with our candidates is giving them that benefit of the app. So like they're a full-time employer, they'll get it for a full year. So they get things like they can get up to 6 counselling sessions in that year. They can get a GP appointment or a call back at any time. So then they're not like letting the client down, trying to get to the GP appointment or whatever for something that they can just speak to on the phone. They get hundreds and hundreds of discounts like you would if you worked, for a big, massive corporation where you get like so much % off the gym or the cinema or, MOT or breakdown cover, any of that stuff. They also get, some help and advice on financial situations. So, the app is amazing. It's easy to use. It's just what we want to do as a recruitment company is have our candidates feel like we are their employer, and then they want to be able to, maintain their loyalty to us so that they can still continue to feel like they're being employed, and it's only, can we say the price, Jenna?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's only £39 for a year for one person, which is amazing for them all to get that extra, benefit from us. And I don't think many other recruitment or temporary employment people will be doing that, So we believe in making sure, our candidates feel like we're all working together. Hence why it's Delivering Careers Together, that, our candidates is just important as the clients and that they feel like they've got their benefits moving forward.
I think it's fundamentally important. When I started to do some research on this online prior to coming on, what was quite interesting was that there is a distinct lack of research at the moment in terms of well-being and the correlation between that and maybe people that are on shorter term contracts or 0-hour contracts, or or anybody that's maybe doing temporary roles, right? Most of the research is around people that are in long-term work and the effect of them. And let's just look at that, for example. Even if we take the area of mental health, for example, if we look at people that are in the workplace full time, 1 in 6.8 people experience mental health problems in the workplace. So that's 14.7%. Okay. And, evidence suggests that 12.7 of all sickness absence days in the UK are down to mental health. So that's huge stats. But then when we look at, if we start to look at the studies that have been done around things like 0-hour contracts, and there are only about 17 of those, only 2 of those studies couldn't find any correlation between people that were kind of anxious about their work situation because it was more temporary, or there was correlation in terms of price, and their mental well-being. So there's clearly some correlation out there between perhaps not feeling quite so certain about your work and therefore maybe your finances, and then actually how that both physically and mentally then actually manifests itself for these people. And I expect the main problem is you then get people not turning up for work. Is this right?
Exactly. But especially for us in the construction world, we know like suicide rates and mental health is highest in men at times. So, giving them a bit of a sense of job security a little bit with the app, if things go wrong or they've got somewhere to turn to without, publicising it too much, then, you're helping people in that industry as well, and just because, if they change sites or whatever, they didn't work for us for a week or 2, they'd still keep the benefit of the app for a year. It's not like, oh, you're not working for us now, we won't give you that app, we just allocate it to them people for that year. So, whatever they need support and help with, especially mental health, then they've got that there. The 6 counselling sessions, I think, is invaluable, isn't it, Jenna? That people can have that.
Yeah, definitely. And what will happen is that a call will be put forward, like you say, Diane. Typically people don't want to have a very public conversation, so that can be done discreetly. It's seen as an in the moment service for someone, so they can call the helpline during that conversation. If it's deemed appropriate, they can then have up to the 6 face-to-face counselling sessions, the in-person sessions, and really and truly, it's a lifeline for some people. In terms of the advice and guidance, it's a phone call, it's straight away. But if then that needs to be sort of moved on to the in-person, then it can do. But as Diane said, sometimes you can be a little bit poorer in terms of your contract based on what services you can actually access. So I think it's really important that that's built in. And just wanted to touch on, Graham, you mentioned about the stats and the lack of sort of research in and around that area. You talked about sort of the 0-hour contract and the stress of maybe going to work. But just on that side of things, in terms of stats that we've looked at ourselves, in terms of the national, the Office of National Statistics, 4 in 10 adults are struggling currently to pay rents and mortgages. And then 47% of the UK adults surveyed at the time were saying that they're buying less food over a 2-week period. So coupled with feeling anxious about all of those things, not being able to make the workplace for various reasons, it then has a massive knock-on effect in terms of their financial well-being as well. So it's really, really important. Businesses, obviously, particularly like Diane's, are doing something for those who are on a temporary work contract.
Absolutely. It's about touch points with people that, ultimately are part and parcel of your business and part of your system, isn't it? I mean, if you're not creating those touch points and actually checking in with people, then you're only really doing half the job. I mean, Diane, this must be one of the things that frustrates you anyway, a little bit about some of the ways that recruiters recruit, is that actually they don't really care about the people, they're just processing.
I think from some experience, some people can make it like it's a numbers game, and that's not what we do here. We care about our candidates and we care about the longevity. Putting someone into the temporary to permanent position there's nothing better than knowing at the end of the 12 weeks they've been taken on by the employer, because you've done your job. Then you found them the right candidate, you found the candidate the right job. You know, it's not about then, oh, well, we're going to lose that contract now for 12 weeks, you know, because it's a bigger picture. It's then growing that, and, you know, they'll either ask you for another person because the turnover is in and out, or, you know, then they're going to recommend you to other people, aren't they? They're going to want to say, you know what, you know, if you use DCT, yet they find you the right person, you don't have to go over old ground and get someone else. You know, that's our job, isn't it, to fix their problem, you know, not to just keep churning people in and out. And if we have this app and we have something additional, then people are going to want to stay with us, aren't they, for them 12 weeks if they get another offer for another 20 pence an hour or something, or whatever, which they do. You know, people jump ship for 50 pence more an hour. If we've got something additional to offer them, then you know what, they're more likely going to stay, you know, because they can see other benefits that they're getting. Because if they did do that and move, then we can terminate the app if we want to. We can stop it. You know, it doesn't have to be there for the 12 months, you know. But so if they chose to say, oh, well, I'm going to go and work with this agency instead, or I'm going to work, that's fine. You know, you do the job, but you lose our benefit then, you know. So it's about retention, isn't it? And the cost of hiring and training and onboarding people is just like one of the most expensive parts of your business. So if we can do anything to help our clients retain them candidates, then Jenna, you know, coming into my life, she would say, was music to my ears to be able to bring this to us, because we want to be forward thinking as a business, and we want to, you know, put the candidates first.
Jenna, what are you finding out there? Are businesses in general pushing the well-being agenda higher up on their priority list at the moment?
It's definitely high up on the priority list, but obviously every business is different, every organisation is different. And what I will say for sort of the SME space right now, they're really struggling financially as well. You know, this app has been designed to encompass and house a range of different benefits, from your discount and retail savings, and then obviously the other things that Diane's already mentioned. But we want to make it as cost effective as well. So for your individual employer out there with, you know, a work team of maybe 5 individuals, that benefit for them in terms of a financial outlay is actually really cost effective for them. It's high on the agenda as well, I think, as Diane said, because of retention. Replacing the team member is I think on average about £1,500 every 2 weeks. And that price obviously then increases to before they get somebody else in that seat. But for everything else, there comes then a threshold of what package suits best. But because this is a bit of a one-stop shop in the app, it's great. And apps are predominantly more engaged with anyway from a usability perspective rather than a web portal. So I think it's 157% of engagement is based on an app because it's faster, it's more convenient, it's built for touchscreen as well. So it does typically suit people who are mobile in that workforce as well. And as Diane said, you know, for £39 a year per person, it's actually less than a Costa coffee a month. You know, it's staggering really, but it's really reasonable and affordable for smaller entities.
You mentioned sort of other benefits outside of the kind of well-being thing, and some people might struggle to see the correlation there. But actually, when you were talking about it, I could see the correlation, because actually, if you're saving money or saving people money on sort of everyday, you know, goods and services, then actually that helps them financially, and therefore takes a bit of the worry away. Do you want to just explain what sort of other things there are involved in the app?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the platforms is the My Discount platform, powered by one of our partners, VivUp, where you can access, it's over 1,100 different discounts and retail savings that you can access. And that range from your local high street supermarket, and it isn't just signposting you to one particular supermarket. So it's really, again, it's quite a cross section. All high street brands are in there, and you can be saving 4, 5, 6, 7% cashback on each of those. The platform is designed where it's a login individual to the user, so it's their email address, and once they've accessed the platform, they then can access the multiple discounts. But what it's stopping you doing is the clickbait scenario where you're having to log emails, redeem a code, punch in a code. It actually goes straight through onto the app. So people come while they're doing their shopping, buy or purchase a volume figure, get that cash back, then go to present that code at a supermarket and saving them, hundreds of pounds. For an average sort of family of 4 weekly shop, you're looking at saving about £280.
Wow.
Inclusive of that in terms of your lifestyle, you're going to eat and entertain yourself a lot more, hopefully, than you'll need potentially a GP appointment. But you've got a discount in there for the cinema, so 26-27% for some venues. And then obviously theme parks, there's hotel stays, holiday destinations. There's even a lease car option in there. So you've got multiple discounts. So it's really, again, for the lifestyle of the individual. And then inclusive of those things, it's the health side. So you've got your benefits for gym discounts nationwide. And these are large chains across the UK that you can access a discount for, as well as some local authority gyms as well, inclusive of that. And then inclusive of that little page for gyms, you've got things like online workouts for the home, mindfulness, soundscapes, sleep support, and then recipe advice as well. So it's creating a complete platform for the individual. So for whatever their needs are, they can access, food shopping discounts, entertainment, travel, but then equally sit at home and do a mindfulness episode or go to a gym and reap the benefit there and save a bit of cash.
In terms of, I mean, if DCT, for example, are using this app with various candidates, etc., does any data feed back to DCT and all the useful data that enables them to help those candidates even more?
What I will say is, first of all, obviously we can access, or businesses can, from minimum of 5 people plus. To get MI data, it needs to be over a certain threshold number because it has to be anonymised first and foremost. But we can give information on calls put through to certain support services, and we can then refer that back. So Diane can see if there's been any level of engagement through things like that. But again, we have to be very careful because the data has to be anonymised, and quite often people are calling these lines with very personal issues. So the short answer is yes, there is MI data there. It's just very dependent on what we can provide.
Diane, what alongside this app, what other kinds of support do you think we should be providing candidates with?
I just think you need to have an open forum where people have trust and transparency, that the candidates feel that they can just tell you the truth of I'm not feeling, I've got a bit of mental health issues, or I'm not feeling too good today, or whatever. We let the candidates open and trust us, and then we can bridge that communication between the clients. So it's not, oh, they've been off one day, right, okay, get me someone else, because it can be like that sometimes in the world of recruitment. It can be quite cutthroat. So I think it's also understanding the candidates, keeping in touch with them, not just, oh, you've gone to work now and then that's it, we don't speak to them again. Getting them to understand, keeping them in touch with, you've got this amount of holidays to take, you're thinking about going away, you can have a bit of time off, you've got accrued so many holidays. Just the more you keep in touch with anyone, is helping them, isn't it? Also, what I want to add into the app that's good is it's not just for that individual either. The partners and the children can get some of the benefits as well, can't they, Jenna, from the app?
Yeah.
Which again, helping the family as a bigger picture is great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good point to raise, actually. I think, for typically, stress, anxiety or work pressures, everything, it does reflect on the home as well. So again, it's very much for the in the moment support. The family can absolutely benefit from the discounts platform, and if there is a dependent, issue where they need to get, access to a service, they can. So it's a really good, important factor to build in, especially if Diane's working with a temporary workforce. The added pressure of not going to work because you may not be able to afford the taxi, the bus fare, or the fuel to get to your workplace for various other things. The platform for savings can affect the household, and obviously all the other services as well are built in. It can be for life's events, and that obviously does include the home.
Yeah, you've just said on average they save £280. Is that a month or a year, or?
Yeah, it's for the weekly shops and things like that. The stats are associated with the spend per month, but that's obviously that's relative to the time that it was found. But that's for 5% cash back at Sainsbury's. That stat.
Yep. But that's like a huge amount of money, you know, that someone's gas and electric bill pays, isn't it? You know, them saving, or where you've just said people aren't buying as much shopping. So, you know, they can't give the kids that little treat, or they can't. Well, if you know you're getting that saving, then they can. They don't have to feel like, as a parent, they're always saying no, you know, and especially now they're in work and they're earning and they have that additional help and support. You know, it's little things in life that, as they build and build and build, it becomes a very big thing, doesn't it? Because, you know, you feel like, you know, you're not providing for your family as much as you could. And I think that's where so many factors into the app for £39 is just amazing. I think, you know, what you've produced, you know, it's a great platform to help people.
Well, just to cover off the actual stat is associated, like I say, with the average saving is it's a monthly grocery spend for a family of four. It's £466 a month that's spent at Sainsbury's, and there's a 5% discount on that. You know, so the stats are there really to back up and reinforce just how much people can actually save. But also, like Diane said, there is an added element of de-escalating some issues where you're having to say no, or you're always missing out.
Yeah. And it's a huge motivational factor. I want to bring you both into the conversation about maybe assumptions within the workplace. How many employers make the assumptions about the well-being of their employees? That's what I'd like to know, because I'll give you an example. Okay, someone's a chef, so they're working in the kitchen. You know, they clearly know how to cook, etc. But the assumption, therefore, might be made by the organisation that's hiring that chef that actually that person knows how to organise their eating habits and their food at home. Do you know what I mean? There's not necessarily a correlation, and I've seen that over the years as a workplace assessor being out there. You cannot assume that just because it might be part of somebody's job, someone working on the building site, you may assume because they're you know, doing a physical job all day long, that they're on top of their fitness, but they might not be, or there may be certain aspects of their fitness that they're not on top of. So you can't assume that your staff are necessarily okay. But do you think people do make those assumptions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Diane, you want to chip in, but I would say absolutely the assumptions can be made. And I think, you know, when the job's being done, people are busy in the workplace. It's only really looking at the human aspect of when, you know, they're going home and they've got the reality to face it. That chef you've brought up then is working potentially a split shift, long hours. It's highly stressful environment. You know, and you refer to potentially a busman's holiday. They're going to go home and cook a nutritious meal. They don't know. Or maybe, you know, it's a case of they can only do what they've got in terms of, you know, the products in the house. But by providing an element of the convenience of an app, and it is convenient, don't know I did this, but the convenience of an app, you know, that they can go home and access all of those things I mentioned before. There's soundscapes, mindfulness, you know, meditation apps, and there's recipe advice. So if it is a bit of, you know, the busman's holiday of sitting home and making a nutritious meal for yourself, you can't think that is there as a touch note just to refresh that. But it is overlooked, and I do think it's the assumptions are there. But give credit, maybe where credit's due, a lot of employers are engaging now because they're seeing how important it is. And certainly post-pandemic, where the isolation aspect of being at home and not seeing staff, you know, we're perceived as being fit and well in the workplace. But the reality is, I think we're a lot more educated about it now and a lot more aware. But I don't know what Diane sort of, you know, she's the expert really in having that touchstone as well from a candidate perspective.
I think, you know, you're totally right. People just assume people are okay, you know, because we put a smile on our face and, you know, we're just doing what we do, then everything's all right. And I think, you know, people need to look out for the signs where maybe people's performance does start to drop, or they may be wearing the same uniform for an extra day than what they normally did. You know, just little, like, when I was a store manager in McDonald's, like, yeah, I could tell by the way my staff walked in whether they were going to have a good day or a bad day. You could tell on their face because you knew them that well. So you just pull them aside and have a conversation, and, you know, you did become like a bit of a counsellor. And I think as a leader in any business, you are that type of person. And I think you have a responsibility to look after the well-being of your staff in that way. You know, you see how many posts about, you know, just listen to someone for a day or smile at someone could change their outlet, or, you know, random gifts of kindness, just being nice to somebody, you know. At our meeting, Gemma and I won some chocolates, and you were going on a train journey, weren't you? And I gave you the chocolates for your train journey. So, you know, never help with the well-being, eating the dark chocolates. However, you know, just
it cheered her up for the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, through that journey to Birmingham.
You know, sometimes a little bit of all in moderation. A little bit of chocolate's absolutely fine. You know?
Everything in moderation. Sugary boost
what
definitely
I mean
helps.
is, like, you've got to pick up on the P's and Q's of people, haven't you? Like, so quickly people are quick to go, oh, we're not performing, you know, you aren't doing enough dials, or you're doing enough this. If you actually dig into the detail of why your business isn't performing, half it's probably to do with the well-being of your staff, you know, or, you know, the dynamics of what's going on in the team. Because, you know, if your team is performing, they're all storming at each other or whatever, you know, there's conflict. You just need to be brave enough to address that. I think, like, that's a whole nother conversation that you can say about assuming people's well-being. I think it's a day-to-day, you know, thing that you have to manage and deal with as an organisation. And I think, like, how many organisations won't think twice to take the staff on a day out and pay probably £40 per person or more? But if Jenna was coming along with this, they'd be like, it's a bit of a cost, that, though. Well, do you know what? Maybe don't have a summer night out this year and get everyone an app and then just have a Christmas one. I'm sure people, you know, will a benefit, you know, will understand, or get the app and use the discount, so you're not paying as much per head. You know, there's ways around the problem, isn't there? You know, but I think if you're offering this to your employees, then, you know, I definitely think they'd see that the importance that you're looking out for their well-being, at least, you know, than just expecting them to come to work for nothing.
Well, what I really like about it being an app is the interactivity about it, because one of the things that I've seen as a massive problem out there in industry over the last 20 years is around sort of induction periods into a business. Because, and I'm going to say it, folks, you don't induce your people into your business properly. You don't introduce them into the business in the right way. The amount of people that literally sit down and put a workbook in front of somebody and say, read that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you know, if you could just sign there and then now you're on board, you know, that really needs to change, because there is no kind of interaction with that. And I think anything whereby you can actually get people to engage with it, and perhaps just because of the mechanism of it, it's just that little bit more interesting for a start. You know, if you've got an app, people will sit and play with an app for a bit. And then that starts questions, doesn't it?
Yeah, for our on board, and we've got our e-learning to, like, so for instance, Gemma, who's just joined us, she's been in recruitment, used many CRM systems, but you still need to know the one you're using. So we have our e-learning, you know, first day is just learning that, doing it, and then having a go at doing the stuff, asking questions next year, so you've got confidence in it. You know, there's no point moving to the next step of trying to fill a booking if you don't even know how to use the system, is there? So, you know, sometimes people expect people to pick up the pace in the job too fast, and then they wonder why they fail. You know, you've got to give people a time and learn how they learn and develop, because we all learn differently, you know. So the app for us might be great, but for someone else they might be like, oh, I don't really like an app. There's an app for everything. I just miss being able to pick the phone up and speak to someone or whatever. Does that make sense? But the world of technology we're in now, it is fast and easy, isn't it? You know, and works at your fingertips.
Yeah. Go on, Jenna.
Definitely. No, I was going to say, you know, I touched on the difference between app and web portal. You know, some objections, for instance, is, we've got a platform, it's on our desktops, etc. But in terms of the engagement between a desktop platform and an app, like I said before, is 157% greater conversation conversion and user experience with apps, because they are typically faster, they do have more features built in, and you can navigate the platform really quickly on a mobile view, and the convenience for them and having the touchscreen. Whereas to log on to a platform, it's email, password, then you're redirected to something, then you've got to log in again, redeem the code. And as Diane said, it's a technology sort of, rife world we live in now. And the fact that you can get all of this in a one platform is great. Typically, again, you're looking at the generation coming in now for the workplace, Gen Z, I think. But they are
Yeah.
looking really in terms of the companies' economic policies, recycling, how effective they are for carbon footprint, etc. So these handbooks made out of paper that go nowhere, that cost to print, things like that, they do look at and scrutinise. Employee benefits are things that when a new sort of individual on the marketplace for a job, they're looking at that as well to entice them. It's not just the paycheck at the end of the month that they're keen on scrutinising. They want to see what benefits they're on in the workplace, what the work-life balance is like, what additional things they're going to get for support. So I think the app-based features, again, really touch all of those things, as well as getting the advice and guidance in there as well for various things, whether it's a recipe or mindfulness, or having somebody at the end of a phone to speak to through the app as well, covers all of those points. But yeah, as an onboarding tool and being able to provide someone with that straight away, day one, or certainly however many weeks it's appropriate for the organisation, it's a real plus.
Well, you're right there. I think the figure is 85% of Gen Z will look at a company's website in order to look at what they offer values-wise, other than the wages, before that they make a decision to go and work for them. I mean, and it is that, isn't it? These days, it's not about just about what does that candidate have to offer the organisation. The candidates are looking now at what does the organisation offer the candidates, Diane?
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got to be an employer of choice, haven't you? You've got to be at top of the game and a little bit forward thinking, even down to stuff like the dress codes in an office now, it's changed. They want to feel like they've got freedom of choice of what they wear. Gone are the days where you have to be in a suit or tie, things like that. We've got to learn to evolve and develop with people who are coming through the generation. Otherwise, your business will be left behind by simple things like that you might not be deem important, but they do. I see a lot of times, because we do a lot of fit out office work, things like how people are designing their offices and the way people want it. They want like a little chill out area, where they can go and like take time away. Seeing some offices have like sleep rooms, because I know my son works for me, and after about 5 hours he's like, oh, I need a nap. I'm like, get up, wake up. So the way they just, I think maybe is that a bit of COVID, because they've been able to study, have a break, are they just in a bit of a different zone to the way we are, but there is cultures out there, in Spain they'll have like siestas, don't they? There is a lot of cultures out there that put that in place, that means productivity works, more for people. So, it is just thinking about having lots of different things to be able to attract everybody, because all different walks of life, I think, come together, and that's where you have synergy, because that's where something very creative can happen, because they've all got their own opinions, and little bits of everybody's thoughts and opinions is what can be like, wow, this is the next best thing to move your business forward.
You just brought up a very important point in all of this conversation, which is that the work mode has changed drastically over the last few years. And of course, more organizations are now employing people who are working in a hybrid way. So it's not necessarily that your office space is where your people are going to be all of the time, depending upon what kind of role that they're in. So if you've got people that are out on sites, or a transitory between sites, etc., or maybe even do one day at home, that support program for your staff has to be more dynamic in the way that it's accessed, hasn't it? Because otherwise, it's not like years ago when you could just turn and look at the person opposite you and go, "Are you feeling all right today?" You don't necessarily see them these days, so you need something that enables somebody to be able to check in when it's relevant to them. Jenna, did you want to say anything on that?
No, I think it's just a really valid point. Like you say, not every time now in any working environment are you going to be able to turn around and touch that person, see that person, and roll out potentially a benefit. And there are different levels of support you can provide. But if you're going to roll something out, you want to be able to have a clean, slick process. You can pretty much work with the engagement side straight away. It's onboarding pretty quick in a slick pattern of events. So if you've got a workforce office, 50% of them aren't there, or transient, like you say, on a job site somewhere. In terms of gaining access to a range of services straight away, it can be pushed out via email, and it's a very simple upload process. Whereas historically, I think pre-pandemic, it was very much office led, and it was also led by the employer. Like, this is the solution for you. This is what we can provide for you. And the element of choice was taken away from the mass workforce. This tool has got so many different options in there. The individual can almost triage themselves and say, well, what do I feel I'll be benefiting from today? And I'm going to go to this particular place to shop. I'm going to go here to go to the gym. There's an element of choice and a freedom for the individual to use and engage with the wellbeing service that's there for them. So I think, again, in terms of the hybrid landscape we're in, it's a great way to offer and provide something even from a distance from an employer's perspective.
Diane, you'd obviously love to have initial conversations with any companies out there within the sectors where you recruit from, who perhaps want to know a little bit more about the way that you are supporting candidates and that you're supporting them into the workplace. What sort of people do you want to be talking to?
What type of clients? Well, I would love to work with Simon Corlett Construction, only because I think how they portray their business is amazing. I love how he does so much for charity, how they work, they do stuff for the apprenticeships, everything. I just think the values of who they are as a construction industry is amazing. So yeah, I would love to work with them. Anybody now, thinking about, shall we say, at Christmas, so the hospitality sector's thinking, how are we going to get staff ready, get them, set up, get them prepared, ready for Christmas. We've already started having to think of our Christmas party, so I'm sure people are starting to think about what they're going to do, where they're going to take people, and anybody in the hospitality sector in and around Liverpool that needs some support. We do cover all across the UK, so it doesn't have to be Liverpool, it can be anywhere. We currently cover a lot on Stoke-on-Trent, Mansfield, Nottingham, Leeds, Wolverhampton. So we've got quite a lot around the Midlands, Plymouth, London. So, it doesn't have to be, just Liverpool. So anyone really that is looking to expand the team, or small businesses who are in a situation where they need that extra person, but they maybe quite not afford it. We work around our rates with people as well, because we just want to be able to help businesses get off the ground and help them grow and progress. So, if they're feeling like the costs are really scary, which some people can, have high costs, we will work around that with them, because I believe working with companies like that and we grow together, that's more of an achievement than being with some of the bigger companies where it is just a numbers game, and I think being able to have that personal experience from business owner to business owners as well is, it's priceless really, and that's how you then, can help and develop somebody's business and help them grow it, which is, even better, for us.
Well, if you're one of those businesses, if you're listening to this over the next week or so, please do get in touch with Diane. I have to say, when you were talking about Christmas there, that it kind of reminded me of somewhere up the road. It reminds me of somewhere up the road, which I have been to, which is within the hospitality sector, and I know for a fact that their Christmas starts around the sort of September time and goes on till January. And I can't, although I love Christmas, I can't imagine anything worse than having to relive Christmas day in, day out for that many months. And actually, when you think about it and when you make those correlations, really, for anybody that's struggling a little bit financially or whatever, actually having to go to work and kind of relive Christmas over that period and be really jolly about it day in, day out is actually quite difficult. So I can imagine actually the sort of necessary support to help anyone in those roles with their mental health over that period is probably really, really prevalent. Thank you both so much for coming along and talking today.
Chip in there, sorry, Graham. So on that, you know, with the hospitality sector where they need that little boost of staff just for a little bit, you know, also we're going to give them candidates this app. So, you know, that's going to improve their Christmas because they're going to get all them discounts. You know, there's 1,100 different high street options on that app where they can then hopefully get the kids the present they wanted, or, you know, just get them what everyone else gets, you know, new clothes, a Christmas tree, stuff like that. You know, we work alongside Cash for Kids, you know, a lot to help the kids around Liverpool and that, you know, and the stories you hear through that, you know, it's heartbreaking, and there's a lot of people in a situation that were not in that situation this time last year. So life is getting tough for people, you know, life is getting hard. So, you know, people in that sector, you know, who are looking for an increase in staff, then by having the app as well, you know, we're going to give an added benefit for them people as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad you mentioned Cash for Kids. I was going to kind of finish on that. You've just signed up for something again with Cash for Kids. Tell us all about that before we go today.
So me and Jenna have put in to go a fire walk on the 3rd of November.
Walk! Yeah,
last year we did Lego, but to be fair, he said Lego's the worst one. So hopefully it's going to get easier. So we're going to be in Hall Golf Club on the 3rd of November. We need to raise a minimum of £250. So we want to double that. We want to smash that because we raised 500 last time. So we will be helpful and grateful for people to help. You know, that's going to go towards probably towards their mission for Christmas and things. They'll do other stuff for that as well. But, you know, it's a little bit of fun. So if anyone wants to get involved, then drop me a message if you want to get your own business involved and get some of your team down there for a little bit of a day. We're hopefully going to stay and have a little spa afterwards and, you know, get a pedicure on our feet.
You won't need them. You won't have any feet. It would be
at least I won't have any dry skin either.
No, absolutely. That will be a clip that will be going out sometime next week with a sponsorship form attached to it, so that you can give money. But yeah, if you would love to help DCT raise money for Cash for Kids, which is such a fantastic thing, and of course, you know, ties in neatly with this whole conversation today about support, because there are going to be people out there this Christmas. It's going to be tough. You know, mortgages going through the roof. You know, cost of living continuing to go through the roof. Who knows where we're going to end up with energy prices, etc. This Christmas is going to be tough for a lot of people.
Just to add as well, they are looking for two people for two different jobs as well. So, you know, if you're looking to want to get into, you know, event management or anything like that, they do need somebody, because the lovely Laura has been promoted. So she's been promoted to the national role. So well done, Laura. And so now Hayley needs a couple of people to help, you know, build their team. So if anyone is looking for a sales role or an events planner role, they have got two roles advertised there to help grow the team as well.
Wow, fantastic. Look at that. Right at the last minute, doing her job. Recruiting people into roles, which is what it's all about.
Yep.
Jenna, Diane, Thank you so much for taking part today. If you're not connected to either Diane or Jenna on any of the platforms that this is going out on, Facebook or LinkedIn, etc., please do that now, and, you know, continue the conversation. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation today on how to support your workforce a little bit better. And if you have got a need for staff, even temporary staff coming up over the Christmas period, etc., do please get in touch with Diane. Until next time, this has been DCT Recruitment with another fantastic conversation, which we hope has informed your day. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.